Gigabash is a game where you play as giant monsters that fight other giant monsters. But I'm not here to talk about the gameplay. I'm talking about the lore. The greasy, succulent, juicy lore. And you may say, who cares about the lore? Me, I do. I care about the lore. A people on the high seas, led by King Kua and Princess Luana. They find a volcanic island, and they've been at sea for far too long. They don't think twice about making it their home, but it already has an owner. The really ugly monster Gorogong sets siege to their home and attacks them. He eventually manages to corner the fleeing humans until Princess Luana sings her song to calm the crying children, but it also calms the beast, Gorogong. And she leads him into a volcano, where he rests. Young genius scientist Dr. Reiner is hired onto the PP Juras project. PP Juras is an alien cybernetic life form that crashed on the planet Earth. Dr. Reiner made several cybernetic enhancements to the damaged body, including a new power core and weaponry that will be used as a way to fight Titan. But they can't revive the creature just yet. Mind control device is still too loose. Who knows what would happen if it slipped off mid-combat? The head scientist on the Thundertross project is trying to figure out a way to pilot the giant mech. But he's worried that if he allows just anyone to use it, it may fall into the wrong hands. He's growing increasingly suspicious of Dr. Reiner's motives.
Winter of 2009, a group of scientists made a great discovery in the Himalayan mountains. They had a sample of a mammalian creature in that region way before any human was in the area. This discovery, paired with the finding of dry hot springs with giga energy residue at the very bottom, made a scientist come up with a theory saying that these mammalian creatures had absorbed the giga energy and became Yetis over time.
An investigator growing increasingly worried about the motives of the giant superhero Gigaman begins an investigation. He starts out at the city of his first sighting, where he fought a giant monster. He interviewed a few citizens that saw the fight firsthand, saying that Titan began to attack until Gigaman showed up and punched it, sending it flying off to the distance. Notably, the fight took place near an orphanage, where a child named Sho would always run off and watch Gigaman fight. Maybe he knows a bit more about Gigaman than anyone.
The story of Gaha meets Zypha. 782 AD, a rich Middle East kingdom, where a greedy king demanded gold be mined by his servants. His greed grew too strong and overworked his workers. One day the mines went too deep, and they began to collapse after something began to make them quake and shake, and a purple aura began to emanate from the deepest depths of the mines. As the mines collapsed, One miner looked back as he ran out and saw a spiked beast with a purple beacon in front of its face, rising from the depths. During the filming of a movie, Gigaman Rising, a giant monster attacked the set until Gigaman showed up himself and defeated the beast. There were no casualties, thankfully, except the main actor, the head actor playing Gigaman himself, went missing near a building. A police search party was sent, but he was never found. And the next day, the building was gone, leaving a square-shaped crater. 10 years later, a police officer, a part of the search party looking for the actor, is going crazy. He's looking at every single report of buildings going missing, leaving nothing but a square hole in the ground. Some buildings found in the middle of a forest with nothing around it. It's all driving him to the brink of insanity.
A teacher is reached out to by one of his students, saying that he was indoctrinated into an ancient pagan cult called the Eyes of Skorak on an uncharted island. The teacher didn't believe his student until he was shown ancient scriptures that were thousands of years old. Now he's headed towards Southeast Asia with a crew. The boat is rocked by a storm, causing everyone to fall unconscious, and then they wake up on the shores of an island where they're met by a village of people that takes them back to their home, which is a village surrounded by vines and a massive wall. The natives say that the wall was made by their deity, Queen Rowana. They further explained that the island was home to several deities that fought for control over the island and its people. But one was rallied behind, the Dragon King. His reign of terror lasted for a long time, and people in high places of his government were morally corrupt. Anyone who spoke out against him was burned by his horrible flames, and the island was fractured into 3 main factions. But they say their queen is the only true leader of that island, and they'll show them their queen. They attend a ceremony with the queen will be, and it turns out the queen was a giant monster who was fine up until she notices the student, who is a follower of Skorak, and starts to attack them. But they are saved, and the cult of Skorak shows up and throws stink bombs at her, and they escape. They are then taken to the home of the Skorak cult, and their exposition to about how the ancestors summoned Skorak during the reign of the Dragon King and used his poison to kill him. And now Skorak wears the skull of the Dragon King on his back as a shell. The next day, they're attacked by a tribe who takes them all prisoner. They're then put on trial, and the Skorak culties are sent to slave labor in the mines. And the protagonist is just told to spread the word of Reiwa out to the masses of the outer world. But first, they must be re-educated. They're told of how Titans clashed on the island, forging for control, forcing humanity to run, until Reiwa showed up, the Dragon King, burned all the Titans, and brought peace and order to the island, allowing civilization to bloom. But his protection came with a cost. Every year, every citizen must provide him with this stew, the violet elixir, which is only made with its rawest form, giga crystals found deep in the caverns. And if the elixir is made poorly, they'll either be consumed or burned by the Titan. And they lived that way for years until the followers of Skorak betrayed them and poisoned the Dragon King. The teacher and the captain of the crew are brought to Reiwa and bring him an elixir. The captain is burned alive because he tried to steal the scale of the Titan. But they let the teacher live, and he goes out, back to the crew, and they sail away. And the student is taken as a slave.
comet called Balzar's Comet orbits the Earth until one day it crashes into a gigacrystal storage facility, where the monster Balzar rises from the flames and begins to consume each crystal. With each crystal it consumes, it grows stronger and stronger. Eventually, 3 super Aegises are released into the area to fight the monster, but are all wiped out after one strong, powerful blast from it, killing 14 out of the 15 pilots of the 3 super Aegises. Rojak, a machine whose only goal is meant to defeat Balzar. But their pilots, they are a very dysfunctional team. They keep separating from each other mid-combat, and they can't defeat it their own pieces, until they added one new member, a girl going by the codename Crown. She hacked into the mainframe, making it nearly impossible for them to separate from each other, and now they finally have a chance at defeating Balzar.